If there's one thing I know about myself, it's that I love slow, sad country music. I mean, give me Whiskey Lullaby by Brad Paisley, or Are You Sure by Casey Musgraves,
You seem in such a hurry.
or Never Alone, Always Lonely by Cody Jinks, How Wicked I Was by American Aquarium, The Lot Behind St. Mary's by Lori McKenna. If it's slow, if it's sad, if the lyrics are great, it's probably my vibe. And even though on the internet I am afforded an incredible platform to talk about this kind of music, when I'm with my friends or on a road trip and someone wants to pass me the aux, everyone's like, please don't play depressing, slow country music. And that's fine. I know I'm not alone in my love of this kind of music because I constantly see sad boy TikToks like this one. Lately, I'm just feeling a lot happier than I have felt in a long time. I mean, I am 7 months sober. I've been going to therapy for a little while now. I'm getting fit and strong, really for the first time ever, actually learning how to weight train, and that makes me feel great and feel great about myself. The weather is way better than it's been, and it's nice to go out in the sunshine. I'm at a church that I really love and feeling like I'm not stagnant in the spiritual area of my life. And compared to my winter season when I really had my first bout of YouTuber existential dread and needed to take a break from social media, I just feel good. And I'm also noticing that simultaneously the kind of music I want to listen to is changing. So when I got tagged in a meme about music criticism last week, I was kind of surprised at my own reaction to it. Check it out. Now, I get it. I'm the critic. I like to explain things and over-intellectualize every single aspect of life. But lately, I feel like the bros that are just like, I like this because it sounds good. Especially because lately, I've had trouble getting into some albums that are slower or more somber in their sound. Especially this Alan Jackson record. I've read a bunch of reviews of people that love it. So many of you guys have sent me messages saying, you got to talk about the Alan Jackson record. And I have tried 3 different times, granted all of them have been at the gym, and I put it in and I'm feeling good. I hear that slow, gorgeous, mournful fiddle. And I'm just kind of like, I don't want to listen to this right now. And I go back to the Dylan Carmichael record and just listen to the song Sawin' Logs over and over again.
I got wood and she's sawing logs.
And that's been happening to me more and more and more lately. I feel more likely to put on a song like Dangerous by Morgan Wallen, a song that I said was too poppy the first time I listened to that album, than I do listening to maybe Elizabeth by Zach Bryan again, even though I do love that album. And so just observing this in myself has made me ask the question, do I have to be sad to enjoy sad music? And thus began my quest to find an answer to this. So because I love you all, I signed up for a 1-month membership to one of those research paper database website things that your college library probably had access to, but no normal person in the real world has access to. Well, I do. And I wanted to see if there have been any studies done on the connection between mood and music. And it turns out there's a ton of studies about this that have been done, but most of them are about how music affects your mood. And the findings of those, I would say, generally seem to be that if you are sad and you hear a sad song that you relate to that is slower, more somber in its meaning, it actually is kind of cathartic and makes you feel better. But it also makes you feel a little bit better to hear a happy song, which is why at a shopping mall or an amusement park, you will hear kind of upbeat music pumping because it puts a little bit of a pep in your step, makes you feel good, and actually makes you more likely to buy more. And so in general, it looks like the effect of music on your mood is that music tends to improve your mood. And again, I'm not some PhD in psychology. Those are just my sort of very general takes from reading a bunch of abstracts of a bunch of studies. The question I was more interested was actually going the other way though, which is, how does your mood affect your musical preference? And there is not much research that I was able to find about this, but I did find 2 studies that I'll link below that I think are interesting. The first one was a study out of China called The Influence of Induced Mood on Music Preference. So in this one, they had 49 participants and they would induce a mood of either happiness, neutrality, or sadness by having them go through autobiographical exercises that would make them think of happy or sad things. And then they would ask the participants what kind of music they wanted to hear when they were in those states. And I feel like the results of this are kind of what you would expect. People that are in a sadder induced mood tended to want to listen to sadder, slower music. And people that were in a happier induced mood wanted to hear happier, faster music. However, here's where I think it is interesting. While the sad people don't mind hearing happier music or sadder music, the people that are in a neutral or happy state were very averse to hearing sad music. They didn't want to be brought down by the sadder music. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's always what's happening in the car when everyone's having fun and I throw in a Lori McKenna song on the aux and they're like, can we not listen to this? The other study that I thought was particularly interesting is one that came out of America. It's called Loneliness of Adolescents and Their Choice and Enjoyment of Love Celebrating versus Love Lamenting Popular Music. Now in this one, they took 135 high school students and they sorted them based on their levels of loneliness. So some of these kids were highly lonely and some of them were just sort of neutral or not that lonely. And then they showed them songs and music videos of either love celebrating songs where a relationship is going well or love lamenting songs where there is some element of a breakup or rejection. This study didn't find anything conclusive about people's preference for when they want to hear love lamenting songs. I don't think anyone demonstrated a real desire to only hear songs that are attacking relationships. However, when it comes to love celebrating songs, the positive ones, highly lonely males were much more likely to reject those and not want to hear them.
Sydney and Scott are newlyweds. Whoopity-doo!
Whereas highly lonely females were more likely than their less deprived peers to enjoy these love celebrating songs.
How does she know you love her?
The study says this. Oddly, lonely young women do not respond in this manner and show greater enjoyment of love celebrating music. This tendency accords with mood management considerations, and it is this effectively positive music that holds promise for mood repair. Perhaps it is male competitiveness, along with a strong tendency to respond with envy, that prevents lonely men from enjoying love celebrating music as readily as women manage to do. And then they go on to say that, they're just making educated guesses, but they can't be sure. Now, both those studies link to a million other studies, and you can, buy a membership if you want and click around if you want, but I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole. I more just want to open up the question of how does your mood affect your musical preference? And do you need to be in a certain state to enjoy a certain kind of music, whether that's the tempo or the lyrical content? And I think I'm finding a little bit I do. I've had to own to myself over the last few years that a part of music criticism is that I'm trying to work out internal stuff externally. I am trying to take things that are personal and work them out in an impersonal way. And sometimes I think that's why I have this intense desire to categorize everything because, maybe in my brain stuff feels disorganized and, this is a way that I can exert a little bit of control. I know this is an uncomfortable subject to suggest, and other critics can chime in and say whether or not they relate, but I do think that's a piece of it. And maybe when I'm feeling better about myself, I don't feel such a need to say whether things are good or bad or whether I'd put them over here or over here. I kind of just enjoy them. I sort of am like, I got bigger problems in my life than this and I'm feeling good and let's just enjoy the music. And I'm sure there are people there watching being like, man, Grady, you can overthink anything. Just vibe with the music if you like it. But it's scary when your kind of identity is built on being a critic and you have a very specific kind of brand of music that you like, and that's in flux, It's just a weird feeling for me. So I'm sure you guys have experienced something similar. Every time I feel like I'm saying something that's unique to me, I get so much feedback from people that are like, I relate to that. So I would love to know what you think. If maybe there was a sad season of your life where your mood was down and you liked sadder music, and then maybe if there was a happier season of your life and you were really drawn into more upbeat stuff. So I don't know, just let me know whatever you want to let me know in the comments down below. Just thought this was a random, interesting subject. Love y'all. Bye.